Alright, so this is going to be how to install the crazyflie client, the Python library, and the firmware for the crazyflie drone on a Windows operating system. There's definitely a lot of great documentation posted on the BitCraze website, and we're definitely going to be using that a lot as reference for today's video, but I just thought it would be nice to have a video guide. That way you don't have to spend a couple hours just reading through the documentation. You know exactly where to go. Yeah, this would just be a quick helpful guide for anyone trying to get into development mode pretty quickly with their crazyflie drone. So let's just get started. We're going to go to BitCraze documentation and start here. This is the first link. You should click that. And getting started with crazyflie tutorial. Installing on computer, we're going to go to Windows, Mac Linux, and we're going to open client installation instruction page in a new tab. We're going to need the terminal for a lot of this, for literally pretty much all of this, so I'm just going to half screen that. And this is a video for Windows operating system, so we're going to go to that section. There are a couple things you need to install before getting into this, which I'm not going to show. I already have them installed. I'll just go through them really quick. Python 3, you can literally just go to Python's website, click on it, and then it's downloads, and then download the latest right here, 3.12.4. That should work. And then make sure to add to path during checkbox. So when you're in that exe file, the installer or whatever, there's going to be a checkbox that says add to path. You definitely want to make sure to click that. That's very, very important. So yeah, Python version, I'll just show you what I have when I go into it, when I enter that into the command prompt. And then this is just going to be upgrading just to make sure we have the latest version. And then Git is also something that we're going to use a lot. Their official website, they have it linked here. Also make sure that that's in the path as well. So I'll show you what version I have. And then we're going to need to install Crazy Radio drivers. Basically, this is going to allow the computer to be able to communicate with you. In your crazyflie drone package, you get this dongle, which is kind of like an antenna. It's basically used to communicate between the drone and the computer. So there is a site called Zadig, and you just download from there using this button right here. And I'll just show you really quick what you need to do in Zadig. Oh, yeah. You're gonna click yes when it asks for do you want to allow changes to your device. And you're going to go down to this right here using arrow keys and click install WCID driver. And it's going to install, and I will get back when it is installed. Alright, so once you get this box that says the driver was installed successfully, you know that you can close out of it. So that's what we're going to do. Alright, so now we don't need this page anymore, and we can continue. Alright, so there's two different ways you can install the crazyflie client. The client is basically an interface which allows you to connect with the drone, and it allows you to change a bunch of different variables and do PID tuning and stuff like that. Really, really helpful, and it's definitely something that you're going to need. We're not going to use this if you're going to want to be doing development with it, which is what I assume you guys are going to be doing. We're going to be installing from source. So we're going to go down to Windows, and we're going to clone this repository right here. Okay, we're going to go into that directory and install that client. Okay, so I had already had it installed, which is why it says requirement already satisfied. But you know it's successfully installed when it gives you this message right here. So that's great. Okay, that is everything you're gonna need from this page. Now you're gonna go all the way down and we're gonna install crazyflie-lib-python. We're gonna open that into a new tab. It's gonna take you to this GitHub page. We're gonna click installation instructions and clone this repository for the Python library. Go into the directory and basically do the same thing that we did for the client. All right, so it looks like that has successfully installed. So at this point, you should be able to go into your CF client. So I'm just going to open up a new tab in my command prompt and just type in CF client. Let's see if that works. All right, so it opened up. This is what it looks like. Yeah, it looks like it opened up pretty well. So that's all for that. And now the final step is going to be the crazyflie firmware. And it could get a little tricky here. So we're going to go through this a little slow. Okay, so I don't know if you saw, but I went into development overview, getting started with development. And we're going to go all the way down here. And we're going to install the toolchain on your machine. Click that. So we're going to go into this Windows tab right here, or this Windows subsection. And the first thing we're going to do is install WSL. And let's just open up a new command prompt. Okay. WSL install. And I had already installed it, so it's going to launch it for me. And if you read here, it says right after we do that, we're going to follow the installation instructions for Ubuntu, and that's up here. So if you go ahead and put this prompt into your command prompt, it should give you 22.04, that version of Ubuntu. So we're going to be following the instructions for 22.04. And we're just going to say that. I'm going to enter my password. Okay, and I already had it installed, so it'll probably show something a little bit different for you. And okay, and now we're going to need to add this. I'm going to add that to the command prompt. Okay, already satisfied. That's what it should show. Okay. Now, we're going to clone this repository. Now, make sure, let's just open up a new command prompt, okay? Just make sure that when you are cloning this repository, you do it in WSL. That's very important. So we're gonna clone this repository within WSL. Okay. Also, just one thing to look out for. This is going to pause, like when you're trying to clone this repository, it's going to pause for a fair bit. Just make sure that you don't touch anything in the command prompt until you see like an option to enter a command in. Like you see here, it gives me an option to enter a command. Just wait till you see that green blue like that like phrase right there, or else it's not going to finish and you're going to have some issues later on. Okay, so we finally finished cloning that repository. We're going to now compile, and we're going to start with this command right here. Oh, sorry. We have to actually be in this directory. So go into cd crazyflie-firmware, and it should work now. Okay, once that's done, we're going to make and build the firmware. And this is definitely going to take some time, so I will get back to you when it's finished. Okay, so the crazyflie firmware just finished installing. There were a lot of files to install, as you can see, which is why it took so much time. But yeah, once you see clean and green here, you'll know that the firmware has successfully installed, and now you can get started with your basic development. So good luck, and I hope this guide was helpful.